If you look in the mirror of another person that you're in relationship with, and reflected back to you is a void and an absence and an emptiness, you cannot locate yourself because you have lost yourself in the relationship. Let's talk about what it's like to die inside. I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship educator and a psychotherapist, and I like to talk about, and I work with clients who lose themselves in relationship. And this is an ongoing experience. It's not a one-off. It takes many, many years to find ourselves, get ourselves back. And it's very easy. The foundation of our sense of self is a bit precarious or fragile, and we can implode into a relationship. And when this happens, it's as if we've entered this other existence, this other realm, this other way of being. And it usually comes with great suffering and this great longing and this deep pain to be understood, to be reunited with another person, usually the what's called the love object. And quite honestly, it's just the person you care about. And many of us have this experience to the point that we question if we will ever be loved and experience a relationship in a way that there's something about us that knows there's more, but we never quite ever ultimately get to more. To rest in a sense of arriving that you can really trust the other person and trust relationship and trust yourself in relationship. So this video is a little different than other videos where it's about information, focus, snappy, quick, 3 bullet points, deliver some little recipe of how you're going to resolve, heal, solve what I'm talking about. And for a big percentage of my videos, I don't make videos like that. And so that's why people might say, and I've heard these comments over the years, there is a sense of a circular, confusing, get to the point, what are we talking about? And it's what I call process. We're trying to drop down into the layers of the concept, the thing we're talking about. But that experience of dropping down into the layers comes with a self-awareness. Hopefully, if it works for you, if you join me, this process is a way of finding a wisdom insight, finding a self-reflection that almost like a key in a door opens up not only intellectual understanding, but there's this sense of exhaling into, it's an orientation, like you're orienting to that fits. You feel it in your bones. You're orienting to this now makes sense. I can see the path, or at least I can see the next step on the path. And this is the work that I do with clients. This is the work that I do with myself. And it's an exploration. So if you're looking to consume content, if you're looking to passively watch and get a bunch of sound bites to help you understand something, I don't think this video is really going to deliver. Instead, this video, it's inviting you to participate in a process to discover yourself. And the truth is, it's really meta. This idea of meta is discovering. It's the moment of discovering yourself. Like mindfulness is thinking about thinking. That's or paying attention to paying attention. So this process idea is a bit elusive. I can't manufacture it. I can't guarantee it. It's about relationship. And in this moment, it's a video. We're not doing this live. So the relationship is not necessarily with me. The relationship is with a process of, let's go there. Let's enter that space. Let's enter the emptiness. Let's enter the void. Let's enter your suffering. Let's enter your confusion. Let's entering your deep longing and see what is there. Now, many people have clicked off at this point because, understandably, perfectly fine, um, they're not interested in doing this. So there needs to be some fundamental, basic awareness, a basic curiosity that this kind of approach can actually be incredibly helpful. And it's softening around demanding an answer. It's softening around demanding something of me. It's softening around wanting clear steps to tell you who you are and what you need to do. We're expanding our ability to hang out in the unknown. But the paradox is, by working in the space of the unknown, by discovering yourself, that's the meta framework here, something potentially can happen. And it is an experience of you resonating with yourself, resonating with your own experience. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to create word salad. I'm not trying to make things confusing. But the truth is, there is a depth here, and there's a particular approach to entering a process that we free ourselves from expectation or an outcome. And again, the people finding me on YouTube, or anyone, a good number of people watching this, just do not have the patience to even decipher what I'm talking about. So what we want to do is we want to take a breath and think about our relationships, and think about longing, and think about attachment, and think about where we're going, where we've been and where we're going. And I want to share a few ideas of this reoccurring experience of this profound emptiness. I've shared this story before. I call it the purple chair story. I was in a relationship, and I remember one day, and it really surprised me because I yelled something out into the room. I was in the house by myself. I was in the living room. I'm sitting in this purple chair. It's sort of like a purple suede chair, and the purple chair has nothing to do with this, with the exception that I just remember that visually. And I was really struggling in a relationship that I was in, and the relationship essentially was over, and or never got off the ground, and very, very much a lot of pain and confusion. And in that process of forcing something to happen, forcing a relationship that did not have life, I lost connection to the life force within me. And so the experience is what we would say, like, you feel like you're dying inside. And I can remember sitting, just, I was a bit in a trance. I was dissociated, many days, just walking around dissociated, not in my skin, not in my own experience. And I had lost a sense of self. And as I am sitting in the living room, in this silence, there's lots of silence sitting there, and I just yell out, "My spirit is dead. I'm an empty shell." And it surprised me because I had no idea where that voice came from. I literally yelled those words out in the middle of the day, in the living room, sitting in the purple chair. And it was as if like a big gong went off. There was a very loud vibration that the moment the words left my body, and they're floating in the room, and the silence took over, and I just sat in that reverberation and feeling more of the absence that those words took me to. And this is what happens in relationships when we lose ourselves, is that if we review the relationship, we've had this ongoing relationship with absence, not there. Hello, not there. The opposite of presence. Presence means an availability to be present, to exchange. And instead, those of us who come from some history of attachment wounds, attachment injuries, and it might register in your body as attachment trauma, we have a very high tolerance for absence and being in relationship when another is not engaged back. And we can override the experience of non-engagement and substitute, project, imagine, make excuses for, overcompensate for that absence. Now, this is a function of the attachment system, which is very interesting to think about. That's very easy to get attached to things and to people. And the reason why this sounds so obvious, and some of us are a bit skeptical of forging commitment and attachment. So you might be a bit cautious to hear me say this. Go, no, I don't think it's easy to get attached. But if you think just in general, the attachment system in the mind can have you attached to things and places and expectations and aspirations and your dreams and some history. And nostalgia is a form of attachment, staying connected to your memories, and strengthening that nostalgia is strengthening the relationship that you have with that history. Think of children with transitional objects, a blanket or a teddy bear. You can get attached to a blanket or a teddy bear. Some people get attached to their cars. I know many people, the car is a safe place potentially, and they park in a parking lot, go to a park and sit in their car. And there's this containment, this place where you get a chance to just be with yourself. And sometimes we get so attached to our car that I know people who name their car and kiss the dashboard, because they're so connected to what that represents. And I think the film, the Tom Hanks film Castaway, and that was he's projecting onto Wilson the volleyball or the basketball, whatever it is, and he's able to project his feelings onto this inanimate object, but he forges a relationship with the ball. And we can take away the ball, we take away the blanket, we take away the teddy bear, we take away the car, and we just say, well, we're doing this in our mind anyway. We can create a idea of another person and get attached to the idea. And for those of us with some attachment injuries, we can struggle to know reality, and or we fuel distorting reality because we're in relationship with our own idea of the person. And this is a fault. I think it's a fault. It's a byproduct of the attachment system, easily being able to get attached. And the goodness of that happening, to have this idea, to feel connected and attached to your idea of the other person, the goodness of that is it creates a sense of continuity. So you can be distant from the person, you can separate, you can go to work, you can go travel, and you still carry the person. And we say, in our heart, but I think technically it's in our mind. And we hold the person. The clunky object relations term is the love object. We hold the love object in our heart or in our mind, and this keeps the relationship going. Now, what we assume is that you're going to also continually, in real time, have interactions with another person that go beyond what you're reinforcing in your mind as the idea of the relationship, and you're simultaneously adding new, concrete, real data through the exchange, through presence, not absence, through presence, through attunement, through what's called limbic resonance, that feeling of like, we just get each other and I just love being with you and I feel understood. And there's you, there's me, and then there's we. That we space, the we is the relationship. And when we are practicing being in that together experience, we're giving our mind more data, more information about securely connecting, about trust, about vulnerability, about intimacy. However, and here's the interesting hook and what I consider a bit of the fault of our attachment system is the brain doesn't necessarily discern between that which you project and make up or fuel or feed or spin or change or override from the actual data of what happened in real time and the degree in which the other person was present, the degree to which the other person showed you curiosity, the degree to which the other person offered exchange through relating. And do you see where I'm going with this? That what's frightening about this is we can end up creating this great imbalance where we are more in relationship with the idea of who this person is, and we don't actually have real world attunement, presence, availability, interaction, emotional honesty with the real world person. And over time, we realize that we are keeping this one sided relationship alive, and to the point where the other person is not even here. They're not contributing, they're not participating. But the confusion is you love them. You are attached. Love as a feeling of warmth and connection, and that is being strengthened through the attachment bond that you have with the idea of who this person is, who you want them to be, the future that you have built up, the story, the narrative. And sometimes if we do this long enough, what happens is we realize we have not received any emotional nourishment. It's like starving. And your spirit starts to wilt. And you find yourself, like my story, on a purple chair, yelling out into the great void, saying, I think I'm a shell of a person. I think I'm dead. My spirit is dying. And the great confusion is that you know that you can't live in a state of dying, but you feel so profoundly connected and attached to this other person because you have created a strong attachment bond with the idea of who they are. And sometimes we look at the other person, we're waiting for a certain level of engagement. We're waiting for them to mirror back to us our own interest, for them to mirror back to us the degree in which they are connected, the mirror back the degree to which we are connected to them. We also want to see that returned. And when it doesn't, that really dysregulates our nervous system and it feels very frightening. And if you look really, really closely in the mirror, people mirror back to us who we are. And sometimes if you look really, really closely into this mirror, all you see is that absence. And that's frightening. And This content is what my work is about. This is what this channel is about. And this video is going to end a little prematurely. And what I mean by that is I don't want these videos to go on forever because I have the ability to keep dropping down into these layers. And instead, what I want to do is make a follow-up video that is, in a way, it's not going to be seamless, but it's like picking up right where we left off and building on these ideas. Now, also, this is a test video. I've done a number of videos that I call process videos, and some of them I explain what process is, and they feel a little different. And quite honestly, they get lower views because a lot of people don't want to have this experience of what this process video is like. But what I'm doing is I'm going to be housing these YouTube. I've just learned this, kind of fell into my lap. It sounds sort of obvious, and I think I've known of this, but I haven't pursued. There's such thing through YouTube. There's a membership section. I can create a membership, and I don't want to have to keep reinventing the explanation to process videos. And I don't want to offer this kind of video just to the masses or anyone who doesn't quite value it. And what I'm going to do is create process videos, and hopefully we could have a dialogue or some kind of leaving comments and interacting in a way through this membership page on YouTube to really find out, the direction that we're all collectively going with this content, because there's many different areas that we can pursue. Quite honestly, sometimes I make videos like 5 minutes after I have ended a therapy session with a client. Because usually with a client, we're talking about the same things and we're trying to hold the experience in a way to make sense of it and discover something about the experience that offers direction or healing or clarity or insight. And it's like I said earlier, the meta idea is we want to, it's like discovering yourself. And these are moments where you're dropping down into waking up about where you at, where you going, what do you need, what has been lost, what are you grieving, what skills are you learning, etc., etc. So this is an invitation to pay attention that relatively soon I'm going to activate this membership section here in YouTube. And I'm really curious if you like this kind of video, if you want to join me, and I'm not going to say the word journey. I hate that word journey, but join me on the journey as we experiment with process your suffering, process your challenges, process the unsaid, process what needs attention, process your broken heart. So thank you for listening. If this is helpful, let me know, and share some thoughts about if you're curious to know more about this membership. I haven't set it up yet, but any day now. So thank you so much.